Friends, welcome back to the pod. It's September, baby. Week 2. This is our mini elk series on the ELKSHAPE podcast. Really excited to bring this to you. I hope it helps. I hope you have success. And I know there's a lot of you out there that have never, maybe this is your first year elk hunting. Maybe you've had some success, but not consistent success. Maybe you're an OG and just need a little pump up. This is you. We got you a little entertainment on your drive to elk camp. Week 2, we're talking about elk vocalizations, do's and don'ts. Last week, we talked about that first week. And if you didn't listen to that one, there's some good stuff on saddling for elk, as well as some cold calling stuff that can work, quite honestly, all season long, if you're willing to try and do that, or if you're looking for a new tactic. But today, we're talking about kind of the pinnacle of elk hunting, which is bulls screaming in your face. And that's what everybody wants. So let's get into it. Today's podcast is brought to you by Vortex Optics. Vortex is a company I've been partnered with, I think possibly the second longest, I think 2010. And it's just been a great brand for me because it's kind of a blue collar brand. Literally the folks who started it, they have a great origin story, but they started very, very small. I think bird watching. And these are veteran owned and operated company. And now they've grown into a beast, and they honestly employ a lot of my friends. Like I have friends, like lifelong friends that work for Vortex. So for me, I run 10x42s. Like 12s are awesome. I probably bring them on hunts, but I don't usually use them. I have 18s again. I'm not gonna pack that around. I'm gonna pack 10x42 UHDs. The rangefinder I use is still like an older one. I think it's the Viper 3000. I love the display on that one. And I pack around their little mini razor spotter. It's a 56 millimeter, and it does the job, and I can digiscope and get content footage and see stuff. So on there, I run a mag view, which is just a cool little attachment on the front of your scope, and it's a cover, so it flips over, protects your glass, and then it flips out. Magnet on the back of your phone, no special phone case, boop, and you can digiscope. But that's who our partner is, and that's who we're highlighting for this week's video. Let's get into it. Let's talk about style. Everybody has their own style of elk calling, and I think you should probably know everybody's style. Essentially, what you're creating is a tackle box full of different lures, and that you don't know what the fish are going to bite on that day, but you need to find out. So when you're calling an elk, you are pretending to be an elk, and you are hoping to engage with that elk in most likely a high intensity situation. This elk will be on full alert, and I'm picturing a bull, and I'm picturing a bull that's either coming in to do a couple things. Let's just start with the basics. Maybe it's purely curiosity. They want to see who you are, and that's great. But they're going to want to see, not smell who you are first and foremost. And if they don't see who you are and they're still interested, then they will try to smell who you are. So that involves that whole wind arc thing that is kind of nuanced depending on topography, terrain, prevailing wind, time of day, thermals, that kind of stuff. But I still profess that elk are like visual perspicuity. They want to see over smell first and foremost, especially when it's out of curiosity. The other time they're going to come into your position is they want to breed. You are a cow, and you are a cow that they potentially want to breed, or see you to come smell you to see if you're in a position to be bred. Are you a hot cow? Is there multiple cows? That kind of thing. The other time they're going to come in is to run you out of the country, to show you that they're bigger than you and to get you to flee. I think they would much rather avoid altercation and just show off, display that they're bigger, better, faster than you. And so you'll have a bull come in and he's just trying to see if he is indeed bigger than you. And I do think bulls kind of know what they're working with. They kind of know. Some don't, but most do, especially the older ones. They kind of know their big deal. And then you have the bulls that are going to come in to kill you. And that's rare. And when that's going down, shot opportunities are going to happen. And all those, meaning all those scenarios, is a bull, which is what we're all probably trying to shoot, is on high alert, guard is up, and shot angles are going to be tricky depending on your setup. A lot of times you're going to be presented with a frontal or a slightly quartering to, and it's going to happen in a very short, tiny window to where you'll have to do a lot of things right. You'll have to be standing in the right position. You'll have to get your bow pulled back undetected, not too early, not too late. And you'll have to have that pen buried, and you'll have to know the range or have a pretty good idea what the range is. Dude, calling an elk is exciting, but it's also intense. So I want to pause the calling podcast to give you a small dissertation as to why I think you should call less. So from 2002 to 2019, I hunted North Idaho almost exclusively. You don't need binoculars. Like, literally, you don't even need them. You probably don't even need more than a pen. You could get away with a single pen. A lot of my elk shot have been 20 or less. A lot, 10-yard shots through stuff that would blow your mind. So a lot of elk I killed, I called into me solo. And a lot of those elk were quartering two shots. Even some I thought were broadside, come to find out they were quartering two. And I've said on the pod before, 5 for 6 on frontals. The one I didn't get killed, I hit him too low in the frontal pocket, and I unicorned him, meaning he ran away with most of my arrows sticking out of the front of his chest. I hit the plate, his sternum, and it didn't penetrate. And he did bleed, but not very much, and not very long. And damn, he was a big herd bull. And looking back, I rushed. If I had waited a little bit longer, I think he would have turned broadside or turned to walk away because he was losing interest, and I could have cow called and possibly got a shot. Or no shot, but not blown him out of the country or wound him. So, not a big frontal guy. Don't love that shot, especially for newer hunters who've never cut up an elk and studied anatomy and really seen what's going on there. And especially for probably expandables, if I'm being honest. Expandables I don't love for frontals and quartering twos. Cut on contact, fixed, yeah, that fine. Especially a little bit heavier, a little more energy, sure. But we're talking about elk that are on full alert. And so it's tougher. I like shooting elk that don't know I'm there, doing their own little agenda and waiting for the perfect shot or an almost perfect shot where they're probably not going to flinch or jump the string or jump the arrow whizzing down at them. And because of that, I felt like I've gotten better shot selection. And then I've been able to take more time to have a good shot execution. It's tough to execute fast when you have a split second. And a lot of times there's going to be a trigger punch involved, which your body will probably naturally flinch a little because you know it's going off. There's an explosion, all that kind of stuff. But I punched triggers on elk for years, if we're being honest, which I will always be honest with you. So I like more of slipping in, sneaking in, ambushing, letting the elk do the talking. I'm not saying that I don't use location bugles, especially at night, but for the most part, I try to hunt areas where that kind of tactic bodes well. So to me, that means more spread out country, a little more open, definitely not afraid of pockets of timber, but like just, I can use binoculars. I can use my ears, and a lot of times I can see and watch elk and really learn their behavior. When you're in the thick stuff, man, you have to use your imagination. You don't even know what the bull is. You have to like, oh, he sounds good. He sounds like a big bull. I think he has cows. I thought I heard a cow call. You don't know. That's just part of the deal. So if you are like Remy Warren, who said to me this year, I won't even hunt an elk if I can't call him in. Like, I don't want to play the game. Like the game I play is calling elk in, and that's a lot of you. So hunt areas where that works better. I had a guest on my podcast this year, Blake Nations, and he's been hunting these open country elk 2 mountain ranges over from me. And quite honestly, I told him to quit calling at these elk. The hang up spots are too big. There's too many shooting lanes. The country's too wide open. They're going to pick you off. Unless you're using a deke or something or having a partner way back there, solo calling in big bulls in open country is difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. He was like, man, that's just what I want to do. I'm like, well, dude, you need to move units. So hopefully you've picked an area or have a part of a unit where that's more conducive to that. Head that way. Get in the country that has some timber and where they're bedding and a little bit thicker stuff where you can make them you can manipulate where they need to be to come see you and then shoot them. So what I'm saying is that hang up spots are the cornerstone to a good elk vocalization standoff where they have to position themselves where you want them to see you, and you take advantage of that. As far as sequences of sounds and all that kind of stuff, it's just going to depend. This is my pack with all my saddle stuff in it for 2025 elk season. I'm going to have the option to grab this if I think I need to get elevated, and I don't care where it's at. I'll find a tree that suits me, and I don't have to pack in a tree stand and ladder like I've done in the past. So it's super mobile, and it's going to add productivity to your elk hunts. You could find a nice pinch point. Maybe it's in a saddle, or maybe you found a wallow that's getting hammered every day. Pick out a tree, get the wind right, get elevated, punch a clock there from lunchtime till about 5 o'clock. Do that every day. You're going to up your odds. We're going to use the saddle systems quite a bit for not only whitetail, but elk and all the Western hunting that we do. Latitude Outdoors is an awesome partner of ours. Head over to their website or check out our website to learn more. I was fortunate enough to try MagView gear when they first hit the market. They make awesome digiscoping solutions. It's made here in the States, and it comes with a lifetime warranty. You do not need a ridiculous extra phone case. It is simply a small magnet that you can put on the back of your phone. The one that I have is charged through. What I use with this is the S1 and B1. S is for spotter, B is for binoculars, and they'll fit almost every model out there. So you can literally just click onto your binoculars and digiscope from your hand. Or if you have your spotter on a tripod and you want to get vertical or horizontal photo or video, it also comes with a free app to help control the lighting and which camera lens. Check out MagView gear. Throw the discount code ELKSHAPE to save 20%. Vortex Optics out of Wisconsin. This is a veteran-owned company that has arguably the best warranty in the business. Their VIP warranty covers you in case you accidentally break something, no questions asked, and that warranty follows the product. My go-tos is the Viper 3000 for rangefinder, the UHD 10x42s for elk hunting, and I actually take the Mini Razor 56 mil on all my elk hunts because it weighs nothing and I can digiscope and get great footage, great photos of game in open country, and it weighs nothing. They also have soft goods, great apparel line, great sunglasses. Discount code ELKSHAPE will save you some loot on the soft goods. We are honored to be working with Vortex since 2010. Some herd bulls want nothing to do with you. They don't want to fight. They really want to be left alone. They want all these cows for themselves. I call those bulls greedy lovers. And I've found more bigger bulls to be greedy lovers. And again, this is a mature animal on public land. They're savvy. They're doing things different to get to this age class. And one of the things they're doing different is they're not coming into your shitty elk sounds, quite honestly. They're very cautious, and the fight or flight going to be more like flight. And if you're getting too close to them, they've got those cows trained, or they're with a lead cow that is, her program is to flee, and they're going to bounce. I can't even tell you how many times I've had elk cornered in their bedroom, bedded on the edge of alders. It's hot if they leave this timber, middle of the day, mid-80s. The cows are locked in sleeping, and the bull is there with them, and we do some sort of sequence a soft cow call, a calf call. He bugles from his bed. We surprise him with a bugle right over the top of him. And next thing you know, the elk are sprinting away from us. And we're looking at each other like, Primos, the truth is, should be called Primos, the lie. Meaning that these tactics we watched on these VHS and DVDs years ago, they don't work. They don't work on public land. And I've had that happen a lot. So that's something to consider. The other thing I've learned on public land is that the more I vocalize, the more I have satellite bulls come in to check me out before I can even get to the herd bull. And a lot of times they're annoying. They will smell you. They will see you. They will bark. They will alert, especially spikes. And the more I vocalize, the more that these other elk that I'm not interested in ruin it for me as I'm trying to kill one elk. So, with all that being said, vocalizations. We need to know how to make a mew cow call. We know how to make a estrus whiny cow call. And we know we need to be able to make calf calls to kind of solidify the reality of this is real elk. For bugles, we would want to be able to do a one-note ringing tone location bugle that can be heard for miles or for hundreds of yards, depending on where you bugle from. We want to probably know how to make chuckles, which is something I think a little bit more younger bulls do, or grunts. We want to know how to bugle at our cows, so a bull bugling to his cow call. I should probably get my elk calls here. We also want to know how to maybe do like a herd gathering bugle, saying like a roundup bugle. And we also want to know how to do the challenge bugle, which is super short, very aggressive. Those are just some basic sounds. And then you have to know all these playbooks. Well, let's start with Joel Turner, a good friend of mine. He doesn't do bugling or chuckling, which is something that bulls do towards bulls, in his opinion. And I would agree with that for the most part. And then, so he typically starts with calf calls and sticks with calf calls for the female sounds. He thinks the cows don't want anything to do with a foreign cow, that they're real kind of bitchy towards each other. But the calf is something that they all will respond to. Herd bulls, satellites, cows, and even calves. So it's a safe sound to make. It's just a higher pitched cow call. It's a little shorter. And for whatever reason, calves always seem to screw up when it comes to bedding with the herd. They miss memos. They bed too far away. Middle of the day, you'll hear one just freaking out, like, where's everybody? Where'd everybody go? Where's everybody? And they'll just keep calf calling. That's super common. So for you to make those sounds shouldn't scare the elk. So it's a safe sound to make. So I can get behind that. And then if you do get the bull to bugle, Joel wants you to bugle back, but not at him. He wants you to mimic a bull talking to his cows. So it's a short, raspy bugle that lasts maybe a second or two at the most. Zero grunts and chuckles at the end. And you're just not engaging with the bull. You're literally talking to his cows, trying to round up his cows almost. And for him, he thinks like you're talking to his girls. That's the fastest way to start a fight. I think you should try this method for sure, multiple times, and see if you can get it to work for you. Other methods would be pretty traditional. Like I mentioned in the beginning, get them bedded, get it at under 100 yards or closer, undetected. Start off with some cow or calf calls or combination thereof. Hope and pray that the bull bugles from his bed. Surprise him with a bull bugle, possibly a chuckle. See, if he answers you, then possibly immediately return with a short, aggressive bugle, also known as a challenge bugle, and see how it goes from there. See if he gets up out of his bed. Maybe you rake, maybe he gets up and rakes, maybe everyone's doing that. And then you just see if you can kind of build it up to where he's got to defend his cows that are bedded and he doesn't retreat and he comes to you and your shooter is set up in front. I think as caller, do not tell your hunter to go in front 50 yards and you'll call back. I like to walk my shooter up to where I can see, okay, that you have 3 lanes right here. It starts to bench. The bull can get a view, his best view of me from right here. And then I will walk back 20, 30, maybe 50 yards. But I like to set the shooter up and then I back up as caller so that I am pulling the bull to come see me. The shooter doesn't exist. He's invisible. We used to just send the shooter way out in front and say, pick a spot up there and we'll just keep him talking. And can't tell you how many times I've called for my dad doing that. And the bull, I didn't know there was a hang up spot that I didn't identify. And the bull got around my dad. And next thing you know, I'm staring at a bull and I don't have a bow. I'm calling for him. And I didn't identify the hang up spot, the spot where the bull will stop. He's like, I'm not going any further. I should see what I'm going to see here. So I want the caller to be the quarterback, to call the shots, to set up the shooter, to him fade back. And you have to use fishing lures to figure out what it is. One of the best fishing lures in like the Northwest or in really good timber country is raking, which is not even bugling. Man, that really piques curiosity up. So you can definitely rake, throw rocks, break sticks. As a caller, I'm moving a lot. Breaking, I'm just trying to sound like everybody to do everything. And that has worked real well. But I think the middle of the day is going to be your best bet for the vocalizations because the cows are typically penned down in the shade, comfortable and relaxed. Call-ins and transitions are tough because they have an agenda. They're heading from grocery to bed. And the last thing the bull will do is most likely peel off, leave his cows, and come down to defend them and risk the chance of losing his cows. In the evenings, the bull does typically pipe up more, and you can probably move in, and the wind is pretty predictable, should be going down, and you can be pretty aggressive. You can almost kind of like cock block the elk because you know where they're kind of wanting to go, and you're kind of getting in the way of them and challenging the bull. That's good. Now, solo calling is a little more nuanced because you have to be the caller and the shooter. We've talked about this a lot on the pod. I just want to refresh your memory that you make your last sound. You can't stay there because you will screw up everything. The bull will know where that sound is made through sonar, radar, onX, built into his DNA. So you have to identify the hang up spot, make your last sound, and tiptoe, don't break a stick, get to that. So you're going to set yourself up. You'll be quarterbacking for yourself. You're essentially throwing the ball to yourself. You're going to drop back, pass, and then run up ahead and catch. Where you catch is where your setup spot will be. That's cannot be the hang up spot. The hang up spot, you need to be set up to where that bull gets there and you can shoot him broadside. Calling, I can't tell how many times I've called a bull in to myself and I didn't set up after the sound, and the bull is standing there 30, 40 yards away in a position where I can't get a shot and he's staring holes through me. That's infuriating. So solo elk callers, set yourself up properly with a shooter caller scenario. Basically, you're playing pass with yourself. Finally, I want you to check bulls' temperatures. A lot of times, I do that at night. When I'm night bugling, I get a bull to answer. I don't just drop a pin and be like, cool, that's great. If I get him to answer from a cow call, from a diaphragm, a cow call from an external, or even a bugle tube, single note location, and he answers immediately, or he answers 2 minutes later, that's a difference there. There's a difference in aggression, or excitement. That bull answers you the second you stop making a sound. Let some time go by because it's dark out and hit him again with some sort of sequence and see if he again answers right over the top of you. And maybe bugle right back at him. And maybe he bugles again. holy crap, change your icon on Onyx to maybe, I don't know, white or red or whatever. This bull's hotter than most. If you're night bugling and you like let out a location bugle, you wait 2 minutes, you don't move a muscle, you hear nothing, and you're like, "Ugh, I think there's a bull in here." Hit a couple more cow calls and maybe just do a little bit more of aggressive, longer bugle. You wait 2 minutes and then you hear a faint bugle, real soft. That bull's not that fired up. Maybe you want to stick around, see if you can get him to answer a few more times and everything's just real reserved. Yeah, there's a bull there, but he's not as hot as the first scenario. We should probably go after the first scenario first. And then I also have this thing I call priming the pump, where sometimes I'll have a bull answer me 2 minutes after I make a location bugle at night, but I'll spend a half an hour and eventually by the end of that half hour, I got him freaking fired up. I can hear him raking in the trees. I can hear him, chuckling, grunting, just pissed off. I've primed his pump. I'm telling you guys. Then I ice him the next morning. When he hears me bugle, we pick up right where we left off. So that is a thing that could work for you as well. What about slow play? What about the Elk Nut app? What about all those kind of, all those guys out there with their different plays? Heck yeah, man. If your midday madness ain't working out for you or this bull is not responding, then open up the Elk Nut app and do a slow play scenario and try that for a while. I mean, you got nothing to lose, but it's really like almost cold calling. You got to be patient. The bull's probably going to come in silent. And you got to be really patient, like really, really patient before you get up and move. So give it some time. Let it play out. I won't deny that it is so exciting to call a bull in and shoot him. Like that is the pinnacle. But it's also situational dependent. So if you're going to be vocalizing, just to know that elk aren't the only ones with ears. If you're hunting some high pressure stuff, other hunters are going to hear that bugling going back and forth. Don't be surprised if you're bringing other hunters to your elk party because you guys are vocalizing so much. I've had that happen. I've had hunters move in, backdoor, undercut, you name it. Don't get mad. It's just part of the deal. Be prepared for that. But there is something to be said about putting your calls away and relying on them to make the vocalizations. And there's a time and a place for all these scenarios. And I would just encourage you all to be prepared to do any of all these eventualities and figure out your own playbook and start like reflecting at the end of the season what worked, what didn't, what got you the most encounters, how can I get into elk every single day, and how can I stay into elk as long as possible, and eventually a good outcome, you at full draw, should happen. Guys, this is an exciting time of year. The second week is when the bugling picks up. Be prepared to have your ears open, cover as much country as possible, and make darn sure that you have no low-key days. I want you into elk every day. And if you catch a bugle frenzy, where it's like the first real rut fest that you cat yourself into, and it's going crazy, and then you run out of daylight, and you come back to that spot excited as hell the next morning, and it's crickets, it's a good chance that lead cow, there's a good chance that that cow got bred. She came into heat. She's no longer in heat. Everybody's kind of winding down, and you're going to have to wait for the next opportunity. Those bugle frenzy things are typically centered around a hot cow or a few hot cows, and those are windows. You need to make hay when those windows open up, and do not be surprised if the windows close the next day. You just have to find the next group or do something different or change your tactics and your calling. If it was a rut fest the night before and it's over, you probably don't need to be going around challenge bugling all these bulls. That already happened, and there's a lull. Be prepared for that. Hope you guys are having fun. That's the whole point of elk hunting. It is fun. It's type 2 fun. It's really hard. I appreciate your support. I wish you good luck. Thanks for listening. I can't wait to hear about all your guys' success.